Welcome to our short overview of the basics of fair housing. In this short presentation, we will look at the essential fair housing protections. Fair housing helps you to peacefully obtain and live in your home, free from discrimination. The fair housing laws make sure that persons in certain groups are protected from discrimination. We call these protected classes. This presentation will address protected classes under the Federal Fair Housing Act, the main fair housing law. Protected classes are groups of persons who possess common characteristics or are protected from discrimination or adverse treatment based on that characteristic. There are 7 protected class categories under the Federal Fair Housing Act: race, disability, sometimes called handicap, familial status, sex, national origin, color, and religion. No one should be denied housing or experience adverse treatment because they hold one or more of these protected characteristics. In other words, you should be treated fairly regardless of whether you are in one or more of these groups. Starting with national origin, how's that category defined? National origin includes the country where someone was born or where their ancestors came from. There's no limit to how many generations back you can go for a national origin claim. Factors that relate to national origin include a person's ethnicity and language and cultural characteristics, such as limited English proficiency. Other factors that may indicate national origin include being perceived as belonging to a particular national origin group, even if mistaken. Can include someone's association with persons of a national origin group and someone's citizenship status. Please note that you do not have to be a citizen to bring a fair housing claim. Familial status protections cover the following. 1, every family that has one or more children under 18 years of age. 2, someone who has one or more children under age 18 with the written permission of a parent or other person with custody of the child or children. 3, a woman who is pregnant. 4, anyone securing legal custody of a child under 18. Disability is broadly defined. There are 3 parts to this definition. First, disability includes a wide range of physical and mental impairments. Second, disability includes persons who have a record of an impairment or disability. Third, disability also includes someone who is regarded as having a disability and treated adversely on that basis, even though they may not have a disability. Finally, protections extend to all persons who are associated with someone who has a disability. The rights to receive reasonable accommodations and reasonable modifications are important fair housing rights for persons with disabilities. Reasonable accommodations are exceptions or changes to rules, policies, and practices that are necessary to enable a person with a disability to use and enjoy their home. Reasonable accommodations apply to both a person's housing unit and common areas. Examples include receiving an exception to a no-pet policy so that a person with a disability can have an assistance animal such as a seeing eye dog or a support animal. Another example is being given a designated assigned parking space close to the unit for the person with a mobility impairment. This would be an exception to the first come, first served parking policy. Reasonable modifications consist of the right to request and receive permission to make structural changes to a unit or common area. Examples include installing a ramp, widening doorways, and having a mailbox lowered. Reasonable modifications are at the resident's expense or typically tenant's expense unless the unit is in public housing or other housing involving federal financial assistance. In those situations, the housing is covered under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, in which case the housing provider has to pay for the modification. The only exception is if the modification will result in unreasonable financial and administrative burden to the housing provider. An example would be asking someone or a housing provider to do something that is not affordable, such as installing an elevator. What kind of actions violate fair housing? Actions that violate fair housing laws include denying housing, charging different prices, or limiting services due to someone's protected class. Actions that also violate the fair housing laws include sexual harassment and retaliation. Other actions that violate fair housing laws include imposing blanket criminal record bans. In addition, The fair housing laws prohibit making oral or written statements or placing ads that express a limitation or preference for one protected group or another. It is important to understand what properties are covered under the fair housing laws. This slide contains a list of residential dwellings that are subject to the fair housing laws. As you can see, the list is broad and inclusive. The home you are living in or seeking to live in is very likely covered under the fair housing laws. Who is liable or responsible when a fair housing violation occurs? First, the person who commits the fair housing violation is responsible. Second, landlords, owners, and property managers are responsible for the actions of their employees and agents. This includes office staff and maintenance workers. Third, landlords, owners, and property managers can be held responsible for tenant-on-tenant harassment and discrimination. This can occur when the tenant-on-tenant harassment is reported and no investigation and corrective action is taken to address the incidents. It is very important to report housing discrimination. There are 3 steps that you should take, the 3 R's. Remember what took place. It can be a good idea to write up a chronology of what occurred. Records should be gathered, including advertisements, applications, emails, text messages, social media, and all other documents. Report the incidents to the local Fair Housing Center, HUD, or state or local civil rights agency. This slide shows by county the local Fair Housing Center that will take your complaint. Complaints can be made by persons on either in person, by phone, or online, or by going to the website for each of the centers. Language interpretation and sign language interpreters are readily provided free of charge as needed. The website address for HUD and the Michigan Department of Civil Rights are also listed. We hope this overview has been helpful. Thank you for viewing. Please check out our other videos and resources at fairhousingdetroit.org and our YouTube channel. This video and PowerPoint will be posted on YouTube. We hope to see you again. Thank you.